To retire at 55 in the UK is possible with some careful retirement planning. People want to retire at 55, not 68, but the standard metrics show that this is not possible. However, if you look at your finances in a new light, you'll find that you can achieve financial independence early, and in this video I'll show you how. Traditional retirement planning suggests that you can live off 4% of your wealth, so a retirement income of £36,000 would require wealth of £900,000, which is a lot of money to have saved by the age of 55. Here's a simple retirement plan where someone wants to retire at the age of 55. They've got full state pension from the age of 67. They're going to live off 4% of their wealth, utilizing a thing called the 4% rule, but then they've got a gap between retiring at 55 and then the state pension kicks in, and they've got to look at ways to fill that gap. The gap could be filled by an ISA, rental property income or the sale of a rental property, downsizing your residential home to free up cash, part-time work or seasonal work, so you could work in a country pub during August and maybe work at a shop during December and January and then travel a bit the rest of the year. Or my preferred option would be to have a side hustle or some sort of self-employed income going on that is linked to some sort of passion that you have, and this could give you a sense of purpose and achievement in the early years of retirement. So here's some analysis from the book The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. The book focuses on three types of people. Firstly, consumers who are so overrun with debt they're unable to put together long-term plans. The next are savers who are so wedded to their corporate job that there's a ceiling to their earnings, and so it's going to take them a long time to save for financial independence. And then lastly, there are the producers who are doing innovative things, working on multiple businesses to try and find something that brings them enjoyment and income and financial freedom. Here's some data from the Retirement Living Standards Association that you can use to benchmark potential spend in retirement. I think it's important to think of different phases of retirement with different levels of expenditure. For example, a 2-car phase initially, then moving down to a 1-car phase, then when you're in your mid-80s, a no-car phase. And this enables you to step down your expenditure in old age and make your money go further. So we end up with retirement planning that looks like this. Retire at 55 and replace a corporate job initially with part-time work, and then that gets replaced by state pension. They've got some numbers in yellow that could be funded according to the 4% rule, but then we've got some excess amounts of expenditure in the first 2 phases of retirement where there's maybe more travel and more exciting activities going on. So with retirement planning, there's an order in which you access your money. So first of all, you need to utilize your personal allowance. Then you would take money from taxable savings accounts because you don't want to pay tax on dividends and interest. Next, you would take money from your ISA because this is free of income tax, but there is inheritance tax. Then you would take tax-free cash from your personal pension, and you do it in stages as you needed it rather than one huge lump sum. Then you would take pension, but at 20% income tax, and then finally, at the last resort, take from your pension at the 40% tax band, and you'd probably always retain some sort of cash buffer. Now let's look at a worked example of someone who wants to retire at 55 with maximum income of £36,000 after tax and retirement wealth of £500,000 in a pension, which is much less than the 4% rule would suggest. So the result would be something like this, with the side hustle income in blue. Then we'd have the ISA withdrawals in yellow, some tax-free cash from pension in green, then the orange is taxable pension withdrawals, and then finally we've got the state pension kicking in this purple color, and the income just steps down a bit over time. So in terms of the wealth over time, it is being run down, but the reality would be you'd have a cash buffer of maybe 3 years worth of expenditure in cash, so that you were never a forced seller of equities, and that would be a way to maintain your wealth in line with this graph. The numbers quoted are after tax, and here is the marginal rate of tax paid in retirement, which is always 20%, and the amount of tax paid, which steps down as expenditure decreases in later life. So here's a quick summary of a before and after for our case study. So initially, age 55 to 67, our person is doing not much. They're just fully retired. Afterwards, they are monetizing a passion and earning a little bit of income. Maximum income is 36,000 in both cases, but in the before case, where they're not really doing much, they've got like £100 a day to live off. So imagine going for a day out in London on £100 a day, and you can't really do a lot, so they're maybe not really maximizing their enjoyment in retirement. In the before case, they needed wealth of £900,000 according to the 4% rule in order to have the required income. In the after case, where we've done things like put in some extra earned income, factored in the state pension, they only need £500,000, provided they do spend less money in their later years, which is probably likely as they won't be quite so mobile. So by having some careful retirement planning and some side hustle income and declining expenditure in retirement, this person's been able to have a really fulfilling retirement on less wealth than initially would be suggested. The only way to answer, can I retire at 55, is to work it through with transparent cash flow modeling that you can keep and build on in the future. You need a sophisticated spreadsheet that optimizes across 2 people, deals with a tax position and different pension withdrawal strategies. And if you have someone to coach you through all this, then that's a really great way to make sure you're on track. The advantages of using a spreadsheet for retirement planning are that it lasts forever, it's infinitely customizable, and it's fully transparent in terms of how the numbers are flowing. If you come to my website, you can find out all about my retirement calculator. Just plug in your details and I'll get back to you. I'm Ian Shadrack. I'm a qualified accountant with over 30 years experience. If you want to learn more about investing, I suggest you watch this video. If you want to learn more about retirement planning, watch the video on the right.